Hey everybody, welcome back to Nurturing Leadership. It's been one hell of a week. I hope you've had a inspiring journey at work. I hope you've been inspired by your leaders. And if you're a leader, I hope you've been inspiring. And we're still in the neuroscience series. It's been I've been enjoying reading stuff, learning more stuff, and I feel like I learn it twice, 3 times, 4 times when I get to do these podcasts. And I think that's probably the main reason why I do these podcasts, is so I get to learn it more and more, and it embeds deeper in my head when I do talk about it, even though I'm not really getting much back because I'm looking in this camera, if you're seeing me on Spotify and YouTube. Otherwise, you're just hearing me on Apple. So yes, neuroscience series, we are well into the series. We've done a couple of episodes, the introduction to it last week. I hope you listened to the neuroplasticity side of things. I absolutely love that. I'm fascinated by it. But this week's episode, before we get straight into it, is all about stress management and the neuroscience-based leadership concepts connected to stress management. So let's delve right into it. I think it's something we do naturally all go through in life, but it's important about understanding the difference between good stress, eustress, and chronic stress, and how chronic stress can impair the cognitive function and the decision making. Neuroscience-based leadership emphasizes, stress management techniques to maintain. I'm doing this so we can look to maintain clear thinking and look at our well-being. And that's not just those that you inspire, but, start with the self. I think it's really important that we can start with the self. Neuroscience-based leadership places such a strong emphasis on stress management techniques, and there's loads of reasons to it. Some of the reasons we'll be looking at today is looking at the relationship between stress and our brain functions. We're going to look at emotional regulation, which we have done an episode on, emotional intelligence-based leadership concepts, resilience, looking at neuroplasticity. We'll touch briefly on that again, but how it's connected to stress management. Obviously, an important one, employee well-being, and how that might connect to it as well. We've looked at better decision making before, but connected to those individual topics today, obviously looking how it connects to stress management. And we'll finish off with, an enhanced leadership presence and the connection between stress management and that as well. So yeah, let's dive right into it. So I think we'll begin off with how we can shed light on a topic that resonates with each and every single one of us every day. We all go through it. As an intricate relationship between stress and our brain functions. So as we navigate the complexity of our daily lives, it's like a graph, right? It goes up and down. It becomes an imperative. It becomes imperative to understand the profound impact that stress can have on the brain. Our brains are remarkable organs, right? They navigate, they touch on the direction we're going to go on the day with our thoughts, our emotions, and actions. However, when stress becomes such a constant companion, it disrupts all of this. It can disrupt this harmonious performance, it leading to a cascade of negative effects on our decision making, problem solving, creativity, and many, many other factors. So bringing into the neuroscience side of things, the study of the nervous system and the brain has provided us with invaluable insights into the intricate dance between stress and the function of our brain. It reveals that stress, there's a lot of stress triggers and a series of physiological responses, releasing hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, which obviously can be good for us in small doses, but when it becomes a constant release of this, especially cortisol as well, it becomes quite chronic. Cortisol and adrenaline are designed to prepare our bodies for a fight and flight response. So while this mechanism is crucial for our survival and immediate threats, chronic stress keeps our bodies in a perpetual state of alert, wreaking havoc on our mental well-being. and this is some of the major effects of our mental well-being across the nations at the moment, So one of the areas most vulnerable to chronic stress is our prefrontal cortex, a regional responsible for high-order cognitive functions. This part of the brain plays a pivotal role in decision-making, problem-solving, and creative thinking. So when under the influence of chronic stress, the prefrontal cortex experiences reduced efficiency, hindering our ability to make sound decisions and find innovative solutions to challenges that we might face on a daily basis. So, as imagine a scenario where stress clouds your judgment. It happens to all of us, the best of us, even the leaders who sometimes appear as the ones that we respond to and we honor and we're loyal to. It makes it difficult to see the bigger picture or evaluate options objectively. This is the toll that chronic stress takes on our decision-making abilities. The constant bombardment of stress hormones, those two that I mentioned before, impairs the prefrontal cortex, its connections, leading to a diminished capacity for rational thought and strategic planning. So, chronic stress acts as a formidable adversary to creativity, the ability to think outside the box, which I believe, there shouldn't be a box to think outside of, and generates these novel ideas, requires a mind at ease. Stress, however, constricts our cognitive flexibility, limiting our capacity to explore alternative perspectives and stifling the creative process. So in recognizing the profound implications of chronic stress on our cognitive functions, it becomes almost paramount to prioritize effective stress management strategies, incorporate mindful practices, which we touched on before, regular physical activity, something I do every morning to try and clear the head throughout the day. But I've been down recently, and because of that, I've probably stopped doing some of the morning things. Because it does bring you down. I suppose that's the time I should be doing it the most, right? But we're human. We've got to also foster that supportive social network as crucial steps in mitigating the negative impact of stress on our brains. So as we navigate the integral dance, which I've used before, between stress and those brain functions, we've got to try and strive to cultivate an environment that nurtures not only our physical well-being, but also the health of our minds. So by acknowledging the detrimental effects of chronic stress on decision-making, problem-solving, and all those, creativity, we empower ourselves to take proactive steps towards a more balanced and resilient cognitive landscape. We've touched on emotional intelligence before, but let's look at, more of an emotional regulation type approach now. So, another area to delve into, it's another crucial aspect of effective leadership is that emotional regulation. As leaders are navigating the complex tapestry of emotions within ourselves and our teams, it's not just a skill, but it's definitely a necessity that we need to think about on a daily basis. Drawing insights from neuroscience and really studying that side, studying the self first, we can uncover valuable techniques such as mindfulness and emotional intelligence training. Remember, when we become a leader, the journey doesn't end there; it only begins. We've got to carry on that training, because that doesn't only enhance our own emotional regulation, but it also empowers our teams to navigate stress-induced emotional reactions. So in the realm of leadership, emotions are both the driving force and potential stumbling blocks. Effective leaders understand the power of emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage both their own emotions and try and manage those of others. This understanding is grounded in neuroscience, revealing that our brains are wired to respond emotionally before engaging in rational thought. Have you ever been told to stop being defensive? Yeah, think of those times. So one powerful tool that neuroscience endorses for emotional regulation is mindfulness. It's become more in practice. You see it in schools everywhere. I know I've heard of it entering other facets of the working world as well. So mindfulness, rooted in ancient practices, goes back thousands of years. It involves bringing one's attention to the present moment without judgment. Research shows that regular mindfulness practice can physically reshape the brain, particularly the amygdala. A heightened awareness of their emotional responses, allowing for more intentional, I suppose, and measured approach to decision making and interpersonal reactions. Emotional intelligence training complements mindfulness by providing leaders with a structured framework to enhance their ability to perceive, understand, manage emotions, fostering empathy, compassion where you can, and self-awareness. Leaders can create a more emotionally intelligent workplace, promoting collaboration and effective communication. Now let's consider the impact of these neuroscience-based techniques on stress-related emotional reactions. So stress, an ambiguous companion in the fast-paced world of leadership, not just leadership, just the daily life of work, I suppose. They often have triggers, that emotional responses that, if unregulated, can compromise decision-making and team dynamics. Mindfulness and emotional intelligence training act as a potent shields, equipping leaders with the tools to navigate stress-induced emotions with resilience and composure. So imagine a workplace where leaders, armed with emotional regulation skills, respond to challenges with grace under pressure. This not only sets as a positive example for their teams, but it also fosters a culture of emotional well-being and adaptability. As leaders model emotional regulation, their teams are more likely to follow suit, creating harmonious, I've used that word before, and there's a reason for it, harmonious and productive work environment. So overall, I suppose effective leaders recognize the pivotal role of emotional regulation in navigating the complexity of leadership. By incorporating neuroscience-backed techniques such as mindfulness and emotional intelligence training, leaders not only enhance their own emotional resilience, but also contribute to the development of that team that thrives amidst those challenges that come in any which direction. So as we continue to explore the intersection of neuroscience and leadership, let's try and embrace these tools to create workplaces where emotional intelligence is more than a skill, but the entry point to the long game, the infinite mindset of success. So resilience, another part. Resilience and thriving in the face of stress. Something we did last time. Neuroplasticity. Love this bit. One of my favorites. Think of the brain as a dynamic, ever-changing organ capable of rewiring itself. If you take yourself back to episode, we'll go a little bit deeper than that. And neuroplasticity is the hero. I do believe it's the hero in this story. It's the saving point of every angle. Neuroscience-based leadership acknowledges that our brains have an incredibility to adapt and recognize in response to experiences. A phenomenon known as that word that I struggled to say a lot last week is neuroplasticity. This means that we can actually reshape our brains to become more resilient to stress. It's like having a mental gym where we can work out and strengthen our ability to handle life's challenges. So how do we tap into this amazing potential? Well, one key player in the journey is meditation. Meditation isn't just about sitting cross-legged and chanting, it's a powerful tool that has been scientifically proven to induce changes in the brain. Regular meditation practices can literally sculpt the brain to become more resilient to stress. That's why if you do some breathing before bed, you're actually oxygenating the blood, which allows the brain to go into deep sleep. That's another example of it, right? Sorry, I forgot where I was at now. So if we do this on a regular basis, we can become more resilient to stress. It's giving your mind a daily workout, building mental muscles to face whatever comes your way that day. Exercise is another fantastic player. Why I do it in the morning. When we engage in physical activity, our brains release chemicals that promote growth and development. It's like that garden scenario that I mentioned in the other few episodes. It's like that fertilizer on the brain, whether it's a jog in the park, a dance class, or whatever suits your individual needs. I do a brisk walk every morning, sometimes a jog. I don't go all out, even though that does help. It's exercise is a natural stress buster that only keeps us physically fit, but also strengthens our brain resilience. Let's not forget about relaxation techniques, taking time for activities that bring joy and relaxation, whether it's reading a good book, listening to music, this amazing podcast, spending time in nature, which we need to do more of because our ancestors used to spend 90% of the time outside. Now in the modern day, it's been proven that we're spending around, from surveys and scientific studies, we're spending 90% of our time indoors. These all can have a profound impact on our brain's ability to cope with stress. It's like giving your brain a spa day, rejuvenating and preparing for the challenges ahead. So I suppose in a nutshell, neuroscience-based leadership teaches us that we have the power to reshape our brains in a way that makes us more resilient to stress. By incorporating practice like meditation, exercise and relaxation strategies into our daily routines, we're essentially building a fortress of mental strength, empowering ourselves to face life's stresses with grace and resilience. Have a look at neuroplasticity a little bit deeper. We did go deeper in the previous episode, but I just wanted to connect it to stress on this one. Well, employee well-being, it's huge. Something that not only impacts our work lives, but also our overall well-being. So how it might affect us at home with our loved ones and so on. Employee well-being and how savvy leaders play a crucial role in fostering a healthy and engaged workforce. Imagine a workplace where leaders prioritize stress management, creating that environment where employees feel supported and valued. This is, it doesn't have to be just the best idea ever. It's proven strategy that contributes to a happier and more engaged team. I mean, pretty logical, right? Well, you would think. But when leaders make stress management a priority, they're essentially investing in the well-being of their employees. Remember, you're not in charge of people. You've got to take care of the people that are in your charge. Something that Simon Sinek, a leadership guru, I would probably put it down to, quotes. Stress can be like an unwelcome guest, if you will, in your life and at work and so on, affecting job satisfaction and productivity. But when leaders take proactive steps to eradicate stress or at least limit it, it's like opening the windows and letting in a breath of fresh air. Reducing stress levels among team members has a magical ripple effect. An example that I shared today, just today at work, one of the colleagues I was working with was informed by an email in the morning about something that they did not complete that day. Now, there's many factors to that, right? She was caused a lot of stress for that, and the reason that could have been avoided through a simple conversation. She's new to this environment. More than giving feedback, people think feedback is important, but when you give feedback, you're focusing on the past. If we could re-angle it to give advice, you're looking into the future. You've not broken connection. You've formed trust in that relationship, and you've got your point across that you need to make, so that employee can feel valued and improve going forward. I think that's a really, really interesting perspective to look at going forward. So when employees feel, again, if she felt that her well-being is a priority, it creates a sense of that belonging and identity and support. It's like having a safety net that allows them to navigate challenges with confidence, not worrying about if they're doing the wrong thing next time, knowing that their leaders have their backs, I suppose. And here's the cherry on top, I suppose, I guess, it increases that person's productivity for next time. A stress-free workplace isn't, it doesn't have to be just this pleasant idea. It's a productivity powerhouse. When employees are not bogged down by excessive stress, that chronic stress approach, they can channel their energy and focus into their work. They'll pull through 10 times more. Maybe not 10, but definitely a lot more. It's like turning on a turbo boost of creativity and efficiency. So a healthy and engaged workforce isn't just for employees. It's a strategic advantage for the organization. Happy and satisfied employees are more likely to stay with that company long term, reducing turnover and the associated costs that go along with that and time. It's building that foundation for a long-term success. Again, that infinite mindset. Leaders who prioritize stress management are the architects of a workplace where people can thrive. They understand that a healthy and engaged workforce isn't just a feel-good concept. It's a recipe for success. So leaders who champion employee well-being, well done. Creating workplaces where stress takes a backseat and productivity and job satisfaction rides, I suppose, shotgun in the car in the journey towards that brighter future for you all. The next one I wanted to look at was how we connect better decision making and the connection between stress management. So now something we have touched on before, but decision making and stress management, something we can all grapple with. There's not one person to this podcast who has never grappled with it, especially in this fast-paced workplace that we're currently dealing with in the modern day. So picture this: you're facing a tough decision, and stress decides to join the party. But here's the plot twist: stress can actually throw a curveball at the part of our brain that's crucial for making sound decisions. That area again, the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is like that wise elder of our brain, responsible for rational decision making. But when stress comes knocking, it tends to mess with this brain VIP, impairing its function. Get that wrench and knock it into the gears of our decision making machinery. So I guess what's the solution? Bring in those stress management techniques, having those great strategies in place. Leaders who champion this stress management are basically handling their team's capes from Superman to navigate decision-making, to navigate decision-making challenges with clarity. Think of stress management techniques like a cool down session for the brain. Techniques such as mindfulness, again, exercise, something we've touched on, taking a breather can actually help keep the prefrontal cortex in top-notch shape. That spa day, ensuring it stays sharp and focused even when the pressure is on. And the beauty of it all, better decisions. Simple, right? When stress is managed, that prefrontal cortex is free to do its job. Weighing options, considering consequences, and making rational choices. It's having that calm captain, that calm leader at the helm, steering the ship through those stormy waves that I've mentioned, but used as a metaphor before. So next time you're facing a tough call, just remember the power of that stress management. Go through them, navigate them, and bring them into the workplace as well as just at home. We don't want to just feel good. We want to make better decisions, like a boss, clear, rational, and with the wisdom of a stress-free prefrontal cortex. So remember that part of the brain next time, we start to go down that road of being really highly stressed. The last bit was more around the leadership presence, the fascinating connection between stress management and leadership presence. Imagine a leader who exudes composure, radiates confidence. You've seen them all before, right? And effortlessly connects with their team. That's the magic of stress management in action. When leaders make stress management a priority, it's like they've discovered a secret sauce for enhancing their leadership presence. Stress, the sneaky troublemaker, often tries to throw leaders off balance. It can be that unwanted guest at that party of composure, making even the most seasonal leaders feel a bit wobbly on their feet. But we don't have to fear, because stress management techniques are the superheroes that swoop in to save the day. Composure. Just briefly, let's talk about composure, because a leader who practices those stress management we've been through before, like a Zen master, whether it can be tight deadlines, right? It can be really tight deadlines, unexpected challenges, or high pressure presentations. They navigate it all with a calm and collected demeanor. That steady hand at the helm, giving the ship through the turbulent waters without breaking even a sweat. I hate those guys. They're so good at it. But, confidence is another key player in the leadership game. It blossoms the garden of stress management. It's that flower that blooms when stress is kept at bay. Leaders who have a grip on stress radiate confidence, not the kind that's arrogant or overbearing, but the quiet assurance that inspires trust. And again, releasing that oxytocin. Yeah, we want that. We want to be in the guiding team, with a sense of direction and purpose. As long as we're always thinking of the purpose and understand where we're going with it. So bringing in, let's sprinkle empathy and the compassion where it can be. I'm big on these leaders who manage stress well. I suppose they're like emotional wizards. They understand that stress doesn't just affect them. It ripples through the entire team. You ever been to a meeting, fine, and you've come out stressed? It's probably because the person who's leading the meeting is stressed. There've been studies on it, and that's what they say. They by practicing the management side of things, leaders, stress management, that is, leaders cultivate empathy, the ability to connect with their team on a much, much deeper level. It's, we don't just have to have leaders who not only understand the challenges, but it's also genuinely cares about the well-being of each team member in their workplace. So in essence, stress management transforms leaders into beacons of composure, confidence, and empathy. The trifecta of an enhanced leadership presence. Picture a leader who walks into a room and you can feel the positive energy, the assurance that everything will be handled with grace. That's the magic that stress management brings to the leadership stage. So I think it's important that leaders do embrace stress management. It's not just for their well-being, but it's a gift to their teams as well. It flows down through it, right? As a leader's enhanced presence becomes the catalyst for a positive and thriving workplace culture. I do believe those stress management strategies are something that we need to consider for leaders who shine bright and lead with their heart, the human side. So I suppose in summary, coming to the end of the podcast episode, neuroscience-based leadership really recognizes the scientific basis for stress management techniques and incorporates them into promote not only the well-being of the leaders themselves and look at the self, but also the overall success and productivity of their teams, the individuals, which only enhances the long life journey of the organizations that they work in. So that's brought us to the end of stress management and how we can incorporate neuroscience-based leadership concepts into it, connected to stress management. Just going to look at my notes here. What we're going to do next week, if you come back, I've been releasing these on Sunday. So if you come back next Sunday, the episode I'm going to do in the neuroscience series, I'm just going to look on Instagram and see where I'm going to go with it next. I normally record them a few weeks ahead of time, but stress management, we're going to go into rewards and motivation. So, that brain's reward system and how they play a significant role in motivation. And I want to look at how leaders can use positive reinforcement and recognition to activate this system and looking how we can enhance morale in the workplace. So that's next week. I hope you come back for more. A few people get in touch each week and touch base on how it's helping them or giving them a redirection of their own leadership journey. So thanks to those leaders who do reach out. I'm still learning. I'm still getting it wrong. And that's the beauty of nurturing leadership. Anyway, got to get going. But I'm hoping you're enjoying it. I'm looking forward to continuing the neuroscience series and then going to go into the victim series for those who have struggled into the workplace and the psychological effects on the human body and the mind of struggling in the workplace, whether it is trauma-informed, being bullied, or just struggling with the team dynamic side of things too. Again, something we all struggle with on a daily basis. Just being prepared for it, I guess. Hope you find these little tips useful. I'm enjoying teaching myself, getting it out there and repeating it. It goes deeper into my head if I'm more myelinating it as an individual and something I take forward into the daily workplace myself too. Anyway, guys, enough from me. All the best for the week. Here at Nurturing Leadership, we are out. Speak to you soon. Thank you for tuning into our Nurturing Leadership podcast, where we delve into the art of compassionate guidance and fostering growth. Your continued support is invaluable to us, so please subscribe and follow us on all your favourite platforms. We are currently on Spotify, Apple and YouTube. Remember, great leadership starts with nurturing. Nurturing leadership creates lasting impact. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes filled with insightful discussions. We appreciate you joining on this journey. Thank you for listening.